Hi, everyone. Welcome again for entering into our space. My name is Fadwa, and like always, bring you some great, interesting information to you, education, content, whatever you may think of, we talk about. Areas that we don't want to talk about, we don't want to revisit, we talk about it here. I have a very special guest here who will share some of her gems in her life. And maybe, just maybe, you'll be able to pick on something from this conversation today. Celeste, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Fadwa. Thank you very much. So my name is Celeste London, and I'm a holistic hormone nutritionist. I've been specializing in this for since 2010. And yeah, that's it. So let's dive right into what it is you want us to get to talk about.
Yes, absolutely. So for those who don't know you, do you mind just sharing a little bit about who Celeste London is?
So Celeste London comes from the island. I migrated to Toronto. My mother brought me here when I was 2 years old. And there's a lot of upbringing around traditional ways of like gardening and food. Because when I came here, I didn't understand why we had to go to the grocery store because I had a grandmother where I grew up on the farm. So I always had access to abundance of food. As a child growing up, I come from a Caribbean background. So I guess you could say my father was sort of like a soldier, and my mother kind of played the role of being a caretaker for everyone. So she was an over pleaser. She was sort of like a martyr helping everyone.
Wow. How did that transform your living now, moving to Canada, changing all the nutrition? I'm sure even the food was different, the environment was different. How did your mother, since you're very young at that time, how did your mother transition to that?
Well, I guess she did the best that she could explaining to me why we had to go to the store to get our food. And after some time, I got adjusted as any kid would and get used to the fact that I have to go to a store to pick up my food, not go to the tree and pick my mango and stuff like that. So it was definitely a learning curve for me as a child to understand the difference. And then I saw the different seasons here. So, that was something that I had to get used to. And after some time, the body got adjusted to the fact that you have to go to the store to get your food.
Hmm. I miss that. I can actually relate to that. you know, just going to the backyard and, backyard garden and just pick up your tomatoes and onion,
Yeah.
all the fruits. I miss that. Even the smell of fresh. Oh my goodness. You've just taken me
Yeah.
back, way back when.
Yeah. Yes, 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 for
Mhm.
sure.
So let's
Mhm.
talk about some of the areas that I know you have worked with your clients and
Mhm.
what interested you into getting into that profession.
So, what interested me in getting into studying holistic nutrition, I guess you could say throughout the journey in my life, as I became a young adult woman, I'm in my 40s now, I was attracting certain kinds of relationships that weren't very fruitful. And I wasn't understanding at the time why. But after doing counseling and seeking out a lot of deep seated healing and help, I realized that I was attracting a childhood programming example that was presented to me. In my childhood, I grew up in a household where things were very rigid. So you really didn't get a chance to express yourself a lot. It was like, see and be told what you're doing and don't ask questions and get it done. You know what I mean? So I didn't really have the upbringing as a little girl growing up to share my opinions or my feelings. There wasn't any feelings of expressions of emotions, was not something that we dealt with as a family. And so what that did for me as a young woman when I put myself in relationships was I was over pleasing. I did whatever I could. I gave to the point where I lost everything because I wanted to over please because that's what I was taught when I was growing up. I even had my mom say to me, your husband is everything and you must do everything to make him happy.
Wow.
And, as a little girl, I questioned it, but I didn't question her and I didn't verbally communicate to her, what do you mean? Why would you live your life? So what if you don't agree with something? Why do you have this model of, your husband is somebody that you don't question anything he says, you must obey and do.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. It was kind of, we were groomed, right? I can actually relate to what you're saying. We were
Yeah.
groomed from a very young age. Cook,
Yes.
clean. And it was about, is this how you're going to cook for your husband? Is this how you're going to clean for your
Exactly.
husband? You're going to
Yes.
bring shame to us, you know?
Yeah. I
Yes.
remember one day my dad's coming home from work and my mother's going around in every corner of the house to make sure it's spotty clean, his food is ready, it's hot, it's the right temperature. Just a very overly exhausting kind of life to show a daughter or even a son, that teaching a boy that this is how his wife has to be when he grows up, and then teaching a girl how she has to be, almost living a life like you're on eggshells to over please somebody in your life.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I can relate to everything you've actually said. It looks like we were just raised in the same home. But this
Yeah,
is this it's a cultural, it's generational, you know, that we've picked up, right? It's we've inherited from our parents inherited from their parents. So it's a generational programming, basically.
yeah, it is definitely, but it's not healthy.
It is not. And even when you said, attracting the wrong kind of people in your relationship, I've been there myself. So I know exactly what you mean. You go
Yeah,
there blindly because you yourself don't know what you want. So you just
yeah,
go there and you attract, it's not just the wrong people, because these people you're attracting are in the same boat as you. They want a caretaker because that's what they
right,
were raised with, right? They're
right,
looking something that they're missing that you have,
yes,
and we are looking for something that we are missing, we think they may have. So
right,
we are all, I don't even see now as the wrong person. I think we're just all been programmed the way we were programmed, the way the men were programmed. And
yes,
then we're all coming with our own luggages of burdens and
yes,
suitcases of, filled of emotional neglect,
exactly, yeah. And so,
and we all have these feelers that we are looking for in each other,
yes,
right? Yeah.
wounded souls. There's a term they call it. We all have these wounded souls
Mhm.
because unfortunately our parents didn't have the tools that they needed to have,
Yeah.
or they didn't have access to the right tools to reshift and reprogram how you relate to your kid as a parent or how we relate in relationships. Because for boys, when you look up boys, if they were raised in household where they only had access to females and no male energy around, they tend to operate more feminine. And so when that person gets into a relationship, the woman struggles in that relationship with that man because he was brought up with feminine psychology, not having any male energy or access to male energy to teach him how to be a man. Same like a daughter. She was raised with a father, like a father's raising a daughter as a single dad. And she grows up not really understanding or having a part of her feminine energy taken away from her. So there are a lot of unlearning or relearning or subconscious mind reprogramming that we need to do as adults. And the first thing that I would say is we first need to recognize that our childhood conditioning, we don't blame our parents. We obviously, hopefully, we can forgive the fact that they didn't have access to provide us with the right tools. But once you become an adult and you have the awareness and you can recognize within yourself that I came from a household that was filled with many dysfunctions, what can I do to reverse that? And all of that can be done with you because now you take ownership of your life. You no longer can play the blame game because now you are living as an adult and hopefully you're independent and taking care of yourself. And so now you need to go out and seek out tools that you're going to implement within yourself and how you can relearn everything that you learned, or reprogram yourself from everything that you've been programmed. Because we have a programming in the deep, it's called subconscious mind programming, and it's deep in our minds. And in order to reverse the subconscious mind programming, we need to unravel all those old tapes, verbal messages, things that were said to us, things that were done to us, and it's going to take some time. Like what I do right now in my life is I write this on my subconscious mind brain every day. So I have a diary every day where I talk to my brain and I say, this is how my life is. This is where my goals are. This is what I'm working toward. This is how I want my story to be. And you can do that for anything in your life when it comes to marriage, when it comes to relationships, comes to your job, your career, your parent-child relationship. You can reverse anything and everything in your life because that deep-seated seed that's been planted in all of us, we think that we're stuck because it's like you've planted something and you have a machine and you've put it into your brain. But what you could do with the neurons inside of our biology, inside of our brains, is we have ways that we can take it out and filter out the things that don't serve us as an adult.
Yes, absolutely. And I get what you're saying because I've been on their journey, and it takes that awareness, high level of
Yeah.
awareness, to actually look at your patterns and how
Mm-hmm.
you're actually instilling those patterns to your children. Because we pass
Yes.
it on just the way it was passed on to us, we pass it on to our children. And I see that. I've
Mm-hmm.
been able to notice that even with my kids. And now for me to help them change that and break away from it, I have to change and break away from it.
Yeah.
And it's relearning, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
We can take the good stuff that we have learned so far
Mm-hmm.
and then go back and say, okay, this worked for them, for everybody else, but it's not working for me. And what is it
Yes.
that I can change so I can grow from this to be able
Mm-hmm.
to be empowered enough to empower my children? We can
Yeah.
change it because you're a living proof you've been able to do that. I'm a living proof that I'm able to do that. And but
Yeah.
it scares us. It scares us to go into that place where we feel it's too scary or it's just too much for me to bear. So what's
Yeah.
apart from the steps that you have done, what other things that you believe contributes to this as well?
Well, for me, because I'm a holistic hormone nutritionist, I focus on food medicine for helping males and females to balance their hormones. So, just a little bit of quick education on hormones. What is our hormones? It's our endocrine system, and our endocrine system has chemical messages that flow throughout the blood veins inside of the human body. And things like irritability, sleeping, insomnia, infertility, fibroids, menopause for women, erectile dysfunction, the belly, like for women, the muffin top, or different physical, emotional, or psychological symptoms that are out of order inside the human body are all connected to a hormone imbalance. And when you have a hormone imbalance, it can even lead to destroying your relationship. Because if all your life you've lived your life being a calm person, all of a sudden you're irritable and you're bitchy and you're not a very nice person to be around, then menopause puts women in that mode. If you don't have the right education, then you think the person you're all of a sudden you're with a crazy person. So the tools that I use is food medicine has the ability to transform a person from the inside out and help them to rebalance their hormones using the right nutrients that that person's body is missing. So I have a system where I'm able to detect what is going on and why are you depleted nutritionally, and how can we optimize the nutrients inside of the cells in your body so that you can reset your hormones, get your hormones balanced, and overcome those hormone health issues.
Mhm. That's really interesting because we tend not to think about it. I guess, just not because of the mood swings, especially for women who are going through menopause or
Mhm.
menopausal, they don't even realize, especially in our culture, we don't really talk about that. And therefore
Yes,
we don't recognize the early onset signs of hormonal, being going through that process.
yes,
And by the time you go to the hospital or doctors, they take the blood, it's too late. You can't do anything about it.
no.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is
Well,
really
that's
interesting
why,
on how, pardon? Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, so that's why it's important for, I would say for women, it's important to do prevention menopause. And what is prevention menopause? It's a name I'm making up. Women wait until they are in menopause to start feeding themselves the right way or providing themselves with the right nutrients. But what we need to do is we need to practice a certain type of style of eating so that when we reach menopause, we can flow through menopause with ease. And even for men, because after the age of 40, everything goes south. Your muscles, men lose muscle mass, women are in perimenopause. Different situations are, we have mental, emotional, and psychological disturbances inside of our bodies where we can I'm sorry about the noise if you hear any noise in the background.
Okay,
There's somebody freaking out there.
it happens.
So, there are ways to do prevention, and prevention is better than cure, as they say, when it comes to healing ourselves and healing our psyche using food medicine. So I would say if you're a woman and you're 30 plus or even 35 plus, then it would be extremely important for you to start feeding yourself the right nutrients so that when you reach menopause, you don't experience menopause in a disastrous state. When you look at menopause, it's good to look at the females in your family. And if the females in your family went through menopause horribly, then you're going to be experiencing a horrible experience when it comes to menopause. So that's why it's important to do prevention instead of cure.
Mhm.
And one of the things you could start doing, feeding yourself, is primrose oil, black cohosh. I know you say, well, I'm not in menopause yet. I don't need to drink those different types of teas. But there are different type of herbal teas that you can consume. Raspberry leaf teas are very good tea to consume. You don't have to be anywhere near menopause, and it's completely natural, and it's a herbal tea. And there are many other things that we can feed the body so that when we reach that stage in our life, because your body completely shifts, it's almost like a 180-degree shift. You went from being all of a sudden very slim all your life. It's not understanding why you put on all this weight. For some women who experience a physical shift in their body, not understanding why their body's operating that way. Because you weren't feeding yourself a certain way, and then when you reach menopause, everything just went.
Yeah. As you're thinking, what is going on here?
Yeah.
Yes, yes. And once you reach menopause, can you reverse it?
You can reverse it. You can still lose weight. I mean, it might take a lot more effort, of course, up until the time that you reach menopause. But I would say if you're anywhere, like I said, between 35 and 40, start practicing the physical daily activities that you like. Like for me, I love to dance. I'm doing a lot of weight bearing exercises in my life now. And it's critical for you to move. For women, it's critical that you make sure you have protein in all three major meals in your day. And again, it needs to be the kind of protein that your body needs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really great tips, Celeste. We don't think about this. We're too busy feeding others, and we don't feed our souls and our body.
Yeah.
It's time for us
Yeah.
to take care of ourselves. Now,
Mhm.
what are some of the steps that somebody who's watching right now, our audience, what are the things that they can start today to help themselves get to a place where they're recognizing that
Mhm.
pattern, one, and two, what can they start doing about that old pattern in their childhood?
So for people who recognize and have the awareness that there's a dysfunction, first of all, you have to recognize that there is a dysfunctional pattern happening in your family dynamics. And you have to do what you need to do to take care of yourself. So for me, I don't associate with the people or the family dynamics that are close to me. The reason why is because when I find myself surrounding myself or associating myself with these family dynamic or people you call family dynamics, they want to see you, for at least for my situation, they want to see you in a place that is vulnerable so they can continue to communicate a level of guilt, shame, or blame to you. So you have to think about the way your family dynamics relate to you. And if your intuition, you have an intuition in your gut, and women are gifted with this intuition. If your intuition tells you that if you get on a call, or if you surround yourself, or if you're going to communicate and something feels tense and uncomfortable inside of you, that's an indication that you need to stay away to go and take care of your own self. If you are an adult that is grown and financially independent and taking care of yourself, then you need to do what's humanly necessary for your own self-care to stay away from anything and everything that is dangerous for your life. And I don't mean to be scaring anybody by using the word dangerous, but if you're on the path of healing, then part of that healing has to do with staying away from people that's going to keep injecting the woundedness to your soul. So, in order to take you away from that woundedness and embrace true healing, you have to stay away from anything and anyone that's going to be projecting continuously, giving you that wound. Our family dynamics are just people who are extremely wounded people. And if you look at them from a place of woundedness, who don't have the tools or don't understand the need to go and get and seek help, then you are a brave soul in their life. They don't understand why you seek therapy. I'm the only one in my family who sought therapy. And they laughed at me when they're like, you're taking therapy. I did all kinds of therapy in my life. And they still choose to relate to me from a place of guilt, shame, and blame. And I realized that in order for me to heal, not I need to detach myself and love from a distance.
And sometimes that's
Very
what you have to
difficult.
do to allow
Yeah.
yourself healing. So when you're completely detoxified all those emotional pain, you
Mhm.
become better. And they're no
Yes.
longer triggers for you. So even if you come back and have that relationship with them, you don't have those triggers because you've come to a place where you know what self-love is
Oh,
and what self-care. Yeah, you're
yeah.
whole. You're whole. You're
Yeah.
no longer fragmented anymore. So we have a few
Exactly.
minutes left to wrap this up. I know you
Okay.
talked about emotion, not emotional, but you talked about some of the areas that we can start doing ourselves, especially women and men, to start creating
Mhm.
that holistic environment for ourselves. What are
Mhm.
some of the steps that they can start doing? I know you shared some of the tips and things they can start taking or drinking.
Yeah.
What's the last message you may have for someone who is struggling with that right now?
So detoxing using juicing or certain types of foods. So for example, like dandelion, it doesn't taste very nice. You can get it at the grocery store, but it's good to start detoxifying different organs inside of our bodies. Usually we start with the liver, then the kidneys, and so on. The reason for the detox is because it's not just a detox to cleanse yourself using juices from fruits and vegetables. When a person does a detox, if you're serious about it, you're cleansing out, releasing the emotions that are trapped inside of your body from all the programming we've experienced in our life. So that's what you can start doing. You can start something like as simple as lemon and water in the morning. It's a mild liver detox, and it helps to take you away from constipation if somebody struggles with constipation. Very simple tool to overcome constipation.
Wow, that's amazing. It's really good. I love to drink my hot water with lemon in the morning.
Yeah.
And when you talk about detox, I'm a big fan of green smoothies, but I know it's not, I drink it for the sake of helping me with my iron and all that. But it's a
Mhm.
great way to detox
Mhm.
completely and just get off the meals and food and give your body that rest,
Yeah.
and
Or you could do juicing and have at least one meal a day, because when you detox, you're putting your body into a situation where you don't have enough fiber so that you can have elimination. So what I tend to do is when I'm starting my detox program, I make sure I eat one major big meal, but the other meals are like smoothies or drinks,
Mhm.
just so you can have a healthy balance in your day when it comes to liquids and then food.
Yes, absolutely. Well, Celeste, you've been great at sharing with us your wisdom and gems of your life, and
Thank you.
we can actually take on this and actually start working on it. I wish I had met
Thank
you a few years ago when it came to menopausal, because I think I'm about too late.
No, it's never too late. As long as you're alive and you're breathing, it's never too late. Even
Yes.
somebody who's 70, 80 years old, as long
Mhm.
as they put the right nutrients in their body, you can overcome many things when it comes to your hormone health.
Yes, absolutely. And it's time. It's time to take care of our health and our wealthy being. And I say that you're only wealthy when you're healthy.
Exactly, 100%.
Well, everyone else, thank you so much for joining us. And I will be putting in information on how you can help get a hold of Celeste. All the information will be below. You can reach out to her and connect with her. You can connect with me if you have any questions. Please don't
Yes.
forget to remember one of our message today is always aspire to inspire. Celeste is
Um,
here. Her inspiration is to inspire others. I am here. My inspiration is to inspire you and everyone else. So if we just take one thing in our life that we are so good at and we pass that to somebody else, it makes a whole difference. So
yes,
I leave you with that today. Thank you, Celeste, for joining us today.
thank you. Thanks for having me.